You know what I'm saying?
No. What did she do before this? Was she MMA? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
She did MMA. She was in Deadpool real quick.
All right.
You know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even remember that.
It's just she's an actress that you could easily just replace her. All they got to do is get that girl Brianna Tarth, who was in Star Wars already.
You're right.
They could recast her. You know what I'm saying? Or put her in the show somehow. Like there's a million, even though the timelines don't add up. I'm saying there's a million ways and a million people that could take that role. Or
I mean,
the
has
substitution.
Ronda Rousey said anything crazy yet? Or
Ronda Rousey is just a fucking liability because her mouth don't be adding up. Like even WWE don't want to fuck with her heavy. And they gave her the shot.
Fair enough. All right.
They really did give her a.
They gave her a big push. Yeah, they gave her a big. Yo, nah. Let's talk about how Bad Bunny really did his thing at WrestleMania, though.
I heard about this, yeah.
My brother, he was impressive. Like,
it's fucked up because I didn't see the first night. I watched the second night of WrestleMania, but I didn't see the first night.
Bro, the first night was better than the second night, honestly.
That's what I keep hearing. I keep hearing that.
The first night was better than the second night. I was in like PA, at Charlie. I think you might have met her in the past. Lurock. Emily.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Charlie's friend. Bro, that shit, we were up there and her man got a man cave and shit. And I was like, yo, I'm going down to the man cave because WrestleMania is about to start. He was like, yo, go ahead. I literally went down there and logged into the Peacock app. And I was sitting there waiting for Bad Bunny like a schoolgirl hoe. ready to throw my panties at this dude.
He's gonna come on.
No, but I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like he really, he's a fan, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna do this lifelong dream. I mean, how many of us would want to do that? He did it.
He did.
He trained for it too. He's all ripped up for it and all that, right?
Yeah, bro. This is a guy who is younger than us. He's in love with the Attitude Era, and you could tell he's a dude who was just like everyone else, playing wrestling with his friends in the backyard, like fucking doing all that high flying shit, like me and all my friends used to do. Except he's still young and he's an agile, light dude. So he was doing all the he did some of the craziest shit. He did shit I haven't seen seasoned wrestlers do, but it was all the other guys who were selling the moves so well.
Yeah.
You know, like spinning DDTs and Hurricane Ranas without the arms. Like he was wilding out. The kid, he did a good job. Like if he wanted to,
these moves, man.
we come from that era of you had Rodman in wrestling, you had Malone as tag team partners with DDP at one point. You've had David Arquette win the WCW title, which was a complete fucking joke and mockery. Crazy. You've had Mike Tyson in the ring. You've had Donald Trump took a Stone Cold Stunner. You know what I'm saying? Like you had a lot of celebrities. Nobody did as good a job as Bad Bunny.
It's the equivalent of being into skating your whole life, and then you just enter the X Games and pull high scores.
Yeah, like you do your thing, like you do a 900 real quick, but everything else is kind of like, like he botched a few moves, but this kid can skate.
No, 900 takes actual skill.
900s now like nothing.
Do they? Jesus.
People do 900s now like nothing.
Kids are crazy.
Like these young dudes just be bugging the fuck out. They're mad agile. Yeah, no, that was cool. I thought it was cool that he went out there and did his thing. He's fucking he's a wrestler.
Yeah, I respect it.
He could keep his name.
All right, but
I did was like, sorry.
Welcome to another episode of VGXL, episode 22. I'm your host, Daniel, aka Games. We have Jose and AutoCAD, and joining us today for the first time is our friend Lurock, or aka Luis. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing today?
What up?
Oh man, you called me out there, you son of a bitch.
Oh man, so
I'm really glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. No, you've definitely been keeping in touch. I know you've been listening to the show from, I think, day one, right? Like you've heard us
day one.
Yeah, growing out here, and I really appreciate it. It's been awesome. Getting feedback and all that, things like that. But yeah, so who are you?
Who is
like I know you guys are friends You know,
Yeah,
how long have you guys known each other? How you guys meet? You know, let's get some history over here.
Who you guys? What do you mean? Fill
I
us in.
met I met Jose El Torrente in back in high school.
Yeah, man.
He was in art class, right?
Yeah. Miss Goodman's art class.
Yeah, Miss Goodman's cartooning art class.
Yeah.
Me and Harry had came from another school, and you know, they just threw us in the art house in that school, and yeah, that's where I met Jose.
Oh, nice. I've known you probably for 15
A
years,
long ass time,
and
Yeah.
I never knew how you guys or if you have told me, I forgot. I was thinking like,
Oh yeah. You definitely heard the story before.
yeah,
'cause-
but probably like all the way years ago. So yeah.
yeah, no, it's a long time ago, man. At least, I mean, we gotta probably tell the people that this is also, we're talking the year 1998.
Oh yeah.
I met Lou Rock in 1998. It's 220.
Oh.
It's 2021.
So it's been
Long
at
time
least
ago.
wow. So it's been I'm pretty sure I met you around 2002 then, and during the the heyday of hardcore and all that shit. So it's like
Because I met Jose and like we clicked, me and my boy Harry, him, Jose's cousin Mario, we all clicked and we got into a lot of the same shit, a lot of the same music. We hung out, played games at each other's houses. We just got a lot of funny stories. Just been a long time friends.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was always music and games. Like, funny enough, it was always, that was the connection. Because I remember Lou Rock was heavy since we were in art school. Harry and Lewis spent a lot of time drawing anime.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh shit, these dudes are into anime. And I'd be like, yo, what are you drawing? And it kind of broke the ice in terms of interest. We knew we were into the same stuff already.
Yep.
And then we're gamers. Oh, we listen to the same music. Oh, like, let's go to shows together. And that was it, man. Soon enough, we were hanging out at Williamsburg before it became what it is now. Yeah.
It's a lot different nowadays.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And I know you game a little bit. What kind of games are you into? Besides,
me?
Yeah.
I'm mostly an RPG guy. Like, I've been playing RPGs for a long ass time. Mostly Japanese RPGs. Like, that's my shit. It's always been my shit. I still play. I don't play them as much anymore. I don't really have time to put 60, 80 hours into a single player RPG anymore, but I'm still interested in them. That's like my main shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
No, I hear that. It's like, as much as I wish I could spend some time, it's like, yeah, I agree. It's like, it's hard to invest the time, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But overall, what about you, AutoCAD and Jose? How was your week this past week? Play anything? Get into anything?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I mean, me, honestly, I've been back on the Overwatch. Like, I've been ever since the night. Actually, after last week's podcast, me, David, AutoCAD, and his friend Isaiah, who they might look you up.
I don't know who I am. Shit.
Yeah, so we got on over. Actually, you two games. We were all on there together.
Yeah, that was
And
fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. Not for nothing. We started taking some losses here and there, but there was a point where I forgot we were playing competitive.
I was gonna
You
say,
remember
we
that?
did some work for a while. Yeah,
we were
came
fucking
in hot.
people up.
Came hot.
Well, that was after
so
I
I've
got
been-
because I'm not level 25 on PC, so
Oh yeah, right.
the handicap was gone.
That was it for me. Just been playing a lot of Overwatch lately. I'm still, don't hate me, but I'm still working on finishing the medium. I have like 20 minutes left. Like, I'm at the very end. I'm at the very end of the medium. I just haven't had. I just always jump on Overwatch first. Looking forward to actually playing Rust when it comes out May. That'll be fun.
Nice.
I was reading up on that this week a lot and just seeing how it's gonna pair up to the PC counterpart, but I think we could all have some fun on there.
Also, it's coming out on console. Okay, I was gonna say
it's
like
coming out on
console,
consoles.
right?
Console. It's good. It's like breathe new life. All these Twitch streamers breathe new life into that game. That game is old as fuck.
Yeah, it's like what,
Yeah,
2013,
it's gonna be
2014?
Yeah, it's old. Like, I remember people griefing people on that game years
I'm not-
ago.
I'm not up on Rust. I don't know what that is.
Bro, I mean, Rust is like a survival kind of like, it's a live server kind of game where people could invade your base, kill you, steal all your shit. It's like, it's heavy on taking over people's territory,
Okay.
And did you ever play Rust?
Rust? Nah, I actually haven't. I love survival games. I get addicted real easy to those, so I have to check it out.
Yeah, like you see videos of people going back and forth, raiding shit, looting stuff, bringing it back to their place, going back. You don't want to die. One of those games you don't want to die with all your shit on you. Because
Right.
people are gonna steal it, and it's a fun game. There's also a lot of ways that you can scheme on people in that game, and that's why it became so notorious for griefing. Like people just roll up acting like they're naked, they don't have any weapons or anything, and turns out they're carrying something you just can't see.
Oh,
They'll
I
try
see.
to they'll try to act like they're friends with people
Yeah.
and get what they want from them, then kill them and take all their shit. It's one of those.
Nice.
I think that's the most common video I've seen. It's people like pretending to be like cool with people and then just shooting them right in the fucking face.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the most common Rust video, I think.
So it's gonna be and it has proximity chat, so you can hear people talking shit as soon as you approach them. Dude, what the fuck are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
What are you here to see? Like, it's funny. It's really funny.
Yeah, I could see why that would be fun. Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of it reminds me like if we would have like had a survival element in H1Z1.
Well, yeah, like, and it's funny because they kind of did, and like when H1Z1 first came out, yeah, it had. There's videos like that too, where like, cause there is proximity chat, and it'd be like the last two guys, and they're like, hey, and they act like the guy acts like he's super cool with them, and then he shoots him and wins the game or whatever. Yeah, and then in the PC version, you can actually craft and stuff in the world. It was still battle royale, but you could craft and stuff. So it's just that on PS4 when we got into it, they took all that out, just made it straight a battle royale. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but last week we had Ezra and Marvin from the Idiot Ezra podcast. So that was cool. We had a lot of fun with them. He's actually hit me up, so we should be to maybe schedule a day together. So that hopefully that'll be happening soon. So guys, listen.
That was a funny ass episode, bro. Like that episode was so funny to me. I was dying listening to that.
Which episode? The one with Ezra?
Yeah, last week's. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, no, he's a funny cat. He's been doing this for a while, and it was because the way I know him is my wife's nephew's uncle. That's their uncle or whatever. And so I remember years ago he was telling me about YouTube, and I was getting into that, and he was doing like a little sports thing, and so he has like a lot of experience. It was actually her nephew that got me into streaming because I saw him doing it, and I was like, how can I get into this thing? It always seemed weird to me streaming until I finally like jumped head first into that world, and then here we are. It evolved into a podcast as well.
That was definitely a funny episode. Like, I'm listening to his podcast now.
It's good.
This is funny. It's just funny shit.
And if you're into sports, he does the Idiot Sports. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He does Idiot Sports Talk, and I know if you watch games stuff like that, he gets real passionate about that. So that's awesome that he split the two, because I'm not into sports too much, so I didn't really listen to his sports episode. So, but now he's making the Idiot one, just entertainment and video games, things like that, and then he has a sports one.
Yeah, because if you do both, you kind of like he could easily spend 2 hours on each topic.
Exactly.
He's good at it. He's really good at it. Yeah, he's always been a funny guy too. Like just from knowing Ezra from around the block and Douglas, Lurock used to come up to Douglas back in the day too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, him and Harry. For those who don't know Harry is another side to the coin here, because we all met together in high school. So it's kind of like there was nothing that we didn't do together. So whenever it was like, hey, you guys should come to Douglas, they'd be up in Douglas with us, hanging out and kicking it. Go to Mario's house and go get food around the way, just have late nights and shit. But yeah, Ezra comes from that. So I remember Ezra just being funny at the fucking arcades, just whooping people's asses and just laughing at people and shit. Like
the whole conversation about the Game Boy, like that shit had me responding to the podcast, and obviously y'all can't hear me, but anybody that listens to VGXL and didn't listen to that one, you got to go back and hear that episode. It's a good one.
That shit was funny.
Yeah, because I didn't go back and listen, but he wasn't clear on his podcast about. All he said was they're gonna bring back Game Boy. He didn't specifically say the brand. I don't care what he says. He specifically listened to Ezra.
How bad Games wanted to bring it up. He was like, "Listen, I got to talk about this."
Because I was doing the same thing. I was in my car driving, and I'm like, "What is he talking about?" Like, so I was like, "I'm gonna wait till we get on the on this episode, last week's episode to bring that up." But he meant the brand, but I'm like, well, that was funny. That was funny. But yeah, so yeah, I think we can move on to some of the news. You want to bring us in?
Oh, you know what? Let me see if I can. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I mean,
can you guys hear me now?
we hear you.
Yeah.
Normal voice.
We hear you.
Oh, normal voice. All right. Give me a second.
Now I have to edit this. Now you put work on my plate.
Oh my god. Oh, it really should be working.
Oh well, then news of the week. Bring it old school.
I know what it is.
Oh, you got it?
Let's go.
Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let me see.
Here we go.
Here we go.
That's what the audience been waiting for.
The whole time they're like, "Shut up."
This right here is the only reason they even listen.
Wait, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not
It's not anything.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, is it? All right. All right, so then I guess it's time for the news.
But yeah.
Oh my god.
Like I said, if you're looking for organization or perfection on this podcast, you came to the wrong place.
No, that's us. This is how it works.
Exactly. So yeah, like we were talking about all before we started recording, Overwatch director Jeff Kaplan is leaving Blizzard, which is a big deal. He's been there for 20 years. It got a lot of people scared. He was he's director, like I said, of Overwatch. And like you guys were saying, we weren't sure like what he worked on before. So he worked on WoW developing characters, then eventually became director on WoW. He was actually credited as director. So that's pretty big. And then he started in 2009, he started working on a game called Titan, which didn't pan out. It eventually evolved into Overwatch, which is what we got today. Now, the reason I think that he left is because I don't know if you remember, I sent you this link a while back, Jose. It was I forget his first name. I think it was like something Morhaime, Andrew Morhaime, something like that. He's pretty much the ex-CEO of Blizzard from back in the day. I think he was there from like during when they merged with Activision. He was the CEO of Blizzard, and he's the one that helped develop a lot of their original games, things like that. He actually left to start his own company. He brought a lot of talent with him. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some connection. I could be completely off the mark here, but I wouldn't be surprised he's making his own publisher. He's making a publishing studio or company that's with 2 gaming studios under him. So that's pretty big. I thought that was pretty cool that that they're leaving. Now they have full creative power over their stuff, and they're gonna be coming out with games in the future. So he did bring a lot of like old talent with him that had been with Blizzard for years. And so who knows if finally they were like, "Yo, you gotta come with us." Who knows if there was some politics? Activision is acting crazy. We already know how shitty of a company they can be. So that's my theory, that it's something to do with that. Maybe he's leaving to join them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new story break on him, and maybe in a few months that he's joining this guy. Maybe he's taking a break. Who knows? But the fact that he left in the middle of development of one of their biggest franchises, the franchise that he developed, that he created, is weird. So like I said, maybe there's some politics saying he knew he had an exit strategy. It's like, you know what, fuck you guys. I'm gonna go back with with the people that helped bring me up. I'm
pretty sure it's gonna come down whenever somebody leaves in the middle of something as huge as and anticipated as Overwatch 2. It feels like the main reason is because of creative differences. Like they probably wanted to shift a big part of the game somewhere he didn't agree with, and that was just where he cut it off. Like if it's no longer going to be something I envision, why do I even need to be here? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Mike Morhaime, that was his name. Mike Morhaime.
Okay.
Yeah, he's making.
Maybe it was sort of in that vein, but sort of the opposite. It was they just want more of the same. And as if he worked on something as big as WoW, he can't be happy just sitting over PvP just kind of brawler, and that's it, in perpetuity. I'm sure he's like, all right, I got to go do something else. Like, I want to build something. I want to create something.
Exactly.
So Activision is down his throat. Like, no, you're not building this out. No single player. We need this, versus. We need the competitive aspect. Just make that tight. That's all we want. Then he's like, all right, my work here is done. Then I'm out. See you later.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, then the name of the studio that or the new company that he makes called Dreamhaven, and so that's the new one that Michael Morhaime is creating with 2 studios under that. So,
when did William leave? Did he leave like very recently as well?
Yeah, it was pretty recent. When was this article from? This was.
Oh, did he leave around the time that they announced that they were that Overwatch would not be coming out this year?
I'm not sure. It was September was when the story broke out that he's leaving that he was leaving or starting the new company or whatnot, and then he's bringing like StarCraft, Hearthstone, Warcraft leads all back together. So
oh wow, yeah, so Blizzard just lost all their talent.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe something with that. And like you said, I think that's a great point though. Like you said, that if it's some kind of like creative difference, or like he doesn't have the freedom to do what he wants, imagine a brand new studio. Normally you can, especially with friends that people you've worked with for 20 years who are starting their own company, like that sounds like an amazing opportunity. Like, jump in now. I mean, I know you got Overwatch, jump in now, so who knows?
In this type of situation, it always, like, somebody like a Kaplan, I feel, has been in the game for so long, he's way too smart to leave if he doesn't have complete confidence that the product he's going to work for in the future is going to top what Overwatch has accomplished, or what he's done with the Diablo series and everything like that. Like, it's going to be on that level, because you have people who have tried to leave, like a franchise like John Tobias. You had John Tobias and Ed Boon back in the day started Mortal Kombat, and then when Mortal Kombat 3 happened, I think it was 3 that he left, and he felt like he wanted to do his own thing. Creative differences, he didn't know where the game was going. But the problem is that he wasn't the complete brains. He was a great addition to creating that world, but Ed Boon is Mortal Kombat. Right. You know what I'm saying? Nobody talks about John Tobias. Nobody.
We found that out later. We figured out who was running the operation.
Right. So
we said, all right.
Like the guy just definitely, in that type of situation, that might not work out for you. But a Jeff Kaplan, like I definitely see him joining somebody who already has something rolling, and they're gonna give. He's like another Kojima in that sense, in the world of like first person shooter, MMO. That world. Like Blizzard kind of has its own dedicated fan base. Aside from the like, I consider myself to be an avid Overwatch player. Like, I play that shit a lot, play competitively. I've been to the events, I'm always on it, but I'm not a part of that first person shooter world where, it's like a whole different realm. And he kind of has his own demographic.
And that's not a surprise, because I'm looking at Jeff Kaplan's like resume, and I see he worked on Warcraft 3, and then he started working on WoW, and then he did the first 2 expansions to WoW, and those are my favorite. Like Vanilla WoW, the 2 expansions after that, and then he started working on that Titan shit. So it makes
you do the good expansions or the whack
ones? The ones that were good, because after that, for me, WoW kind of fell off after those 2, so it makes sense that he started working on something else.
That's funny.
So I'm definitely gonna keep an eye out on that new studio that he's in. Like, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm saying, I'm like, hopefully I'm right. That'd be awesome if he really does join. All those, ex leads from, that worked on all, because it's all big name. Some of their biggest names went over to join Mike Morhaime. So I'm like, I hope it's something like that, because we need like talent like that to get away from these big publishers, because all they're doing is catering to their shareholders, and it's like fuck you to the video game makers. Which actually bring me to another story.
I don't know why I even said Diablo. I'm so sorry. I was looking at something about that earlier. I meant to say World of Warcraft.
Yeah, no, that's all good. But yeah, so which brings, like I was saying, worrying about shareholders, then we have Sony we kind of deep dive a little bit into Sony making weird moves last week. This feels, now, if you haven't heard, the PS3, PS Vita stores were closing down. Now they reversed course. Now they're no longer closing down. And that feels kind of like what Microsoft did with doubling the price of Xbox Live. There was a fan outcry, and then they backpedaled. I'm like, I don't know if it's like you know, if it, I don't, this doesn't feel as much of a what was that?
So this is a false flag attack.
Right? Like, I'm like, was this some bullshit or? But I don't know. I don't think they expected the outcry, and it's still gonna close down. It probably just gave it like another little life, you know, whatever, and you know. But you know, I thought it was kind of a dumb move. Sony's been doing a lot of weird shit. I mean, you never know. I mean, maybe this is a good strategy, and people are just we're overreacting, you know. But them only focusing on AAA, you know, big AAA games and nothing a little bit more experimental. You know, it's a little bit sad, but who knows? You know, we don't, you know, for all we know, we get some bangers out there, and you know, maybe they're what's that called, like the market research, or when you do those like little focus groups. I mean, that's how they know where games are gonna blow up or not. You know, a lot of these companies do focus groups, so hopefully, you know, they'll be at least, you know, be coming out with some dope stuff. And speaking of Xbox, the last story I got today is that now they're coming out with they're coming out with a beta for their Xcloud to be on Windows. So that's a big deal. And Apple devices. It's going to be their browser-based solution to their cloud-based Game Pass. So, you know, if you pay for Ultimate, you can stream games to your phone. As of right now, it's only Android, and now they're bringing it to Windows and iOS, which is a big fuck you to Apple, because Apple, you know, shut them down. So that's pretty cool. That's just like, fuck you, Apple. We're gonna come out with this anyway. And
is there a date on
that?
A date? I don't. Yeah. I think it's out now.
Well, I think it's invite only to the beta. I was gonna ask if anybody got invited, because I didn't. I wish I did.
No, I don't think I got. I mean, I haven't checked it.
I think it's invited,
but I don't think so.
I think you had to be subscribed to the Game Pass Ultimate, and then it was just random from there.
Oh, I see. So then no. I mean, I'm subscribed, but I guess not. And sad days. And then people are like saying, like, you know, they're hoping that it comes to you know, to TVs and stuff like that, which is actually trending on Twitter about it. You know, I'm like, you know, I mean, it's not the worst idea. It's not impossible. As I mentioned before, Amazon's already doing that with their Fire TVs. If you're in the Luna beta right now, you can stream games directly to a Fire TV with their special controller that connects to Wi-Fi, and it connects to the TV. You can actually control the TV with the game controller to pick your games and stuff. So, if you know, Microsoft already has talked about that. I'm sure people forgot, but they are intending to come out with like a stick, plug into any TV, and boom, you got Game Pass. But let's see how well that works. I haven't been convinced yet that the latency is going to be.
Yeah, like if it works flawlessly, that's the future.
Exactly. You know, it's the latency is still one of the biggest issues, and that's a problem with, you know, our favorite topic of Stadia.
I was playing it earlier today, and it's still like home. I got a gigabit like connection both up and down on Wi-Fi. Now I don't even know my cell phone can handle those speeds, but either way, the latency, it sucks. It's not terrible like anymore. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's not great
for Game Pass.
Yeah, the Xcloud.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, some games are, you know, it depends. Like some days it works great, some days it doesn't. It's like until they can solve that latency issue, that's you know, cloud gaming is not going to take off until that is, you know, that's solved. Like once it doesn't feel any different, then that's the future. That's where we'll finally be okay. This is a viable solution. So,
isn't that crazy? Like, what do you guys feel about that though? Do you guys want it to get to the point where you don't have anything tangible? That feeling of opening up a game, the smell.
I mean, I'm already kind of there. I haven't really bought like physical in a while, to be honest. And so it's like, I do like downloading my stuff. I do like knowing that it's on my console, but I don't know. I don't want it to go away, but I do like the solution because I've already doing it with Steam Link. Steam Link actually works fairly well. It's probably the best experience I've had is streaming my games from my own PC has been a great experience. But
yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like a lot of people I know online and in real life are big fans of collections, of having shit that's tangible.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm in the minority that I love digital shit. Like I just love it. I don't know. I like not having to get up from the couch, like in regards to home consoles. I like not having to get up to switch to a game. Like if it's downloaded there, I could just launch it. You know what I mean?
I do like that part of it too.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's nice to get something physical. Open up, like I know what you're saying, like opening up a case, even though there's not such a thing as instruction manuals anymore, but it's still cool to have something, you know, see it on the shelf or something like that, or be able to pass it down. You know what I'm saying? like that.
Yeah,
You
like
can't really
like
do
even now I buy most of my games digitally, you know, but there are certain games that'll come out where if they have a certain, you know, edition, like a
Yeah,
premium edition, where I look at it and I go, no, I gotta fuck with that. You
Of
know,
course.
normally that's gonna be, you know, I've always gotten physical copies of Mortal Kombat games.
Yeah.
Up until part 11, because part 11, like, I mean, I love, like, I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, but they love to dick ride Scorpion and Sub-Zero because they're the poster boys of the series, and that shit doesn't leave room for a lot of creativity. Like, the 11 had like a bust of Sub-Zero's mask and Scorpion's mask, and it's like,
Right.
who gives a fuck about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, the last 3 editions of the game had like Scorpion related shit. You know, like, I
Right.
don't care about that.
Yeah.
Make that
Yeah,
something that I could
box
purchase on the
was
side.
cool yesterday.
You know, give us like a cool, you know, I don't know, Baraka fucking, you know, something cool, something that people are like much darker. I don't want to see a yellow mask on my fucking bookshelf. You know, fuck that. But just my opinion. Like when it comes to certain things, certain
Yeah.
editions, certain games,
Certain
I'll go.
games like
Yeah.
like
go
for
out
example,
there.
like Final Fantasy games, I for some reason I always get those physical. Like even it doesn't even have to be the limited special edition big ass $200 version. Like I'll get the standard one physical just because I've been doing it for that game since the
Yeah,
90s.
it's from that era where that was the only choice you had.
Right.
You
So
know,
that's a
so-
game that I'll always support physical, but a lot of games I'll just go digital. I really don't care no more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the industry's been kind of training us to do, anyways, right? They've been trying to get us away from physical copies of things forever, and not for nothing, but it's kind of funny. I'm thinking about it, and I mean, don't do this at home, kids. But I've been pirating games for so long that I'm used to having digital copies of everything. Like I've been pirating copies of everything for my 360, for whatever. So
The actions of Attica do not reflect the opinions of
I do
VGXL.
that for everything now. And I went back and I bought all those games to not play them, just to, you know, pay the publisher.
I mean, in the vein of
So,
that, like, honestly, I just never do that for indies. But you know, I think the whole idea of trying out a game before you buy it so you don't get burned is not the worst thing. And I saw a quote, I don't know if it's true or not. Supposedly, Gabe Newell said, you know, like, you know, the easiest, you don't need DRM to, you know, against you know, pirates. You need to offer a service that is better than what the pirates offer, which I think is true, because honestly what kind of keeps me from pirating is I like having stuff in my Steam library. I just like knowing that I can just download it, it's updated, I don't have to look for the updates. Not that it's that much of a pain, but then on top of that, I can stream my games, you know, to my other devices through Steam. So it's like, you know, there is some value to that, you know, whether you said it or not, there is some value to that statement. It's like, if the service is good, you know, people are gonna like it. Like, I won't have too much of an issue with game streaming. It's just, you know, are those, you know, what happens when those servers, you know, or the service goes down, or there is no more Sony, or there is no, you know, it could happen. You know, some big companies, you know, you thought would always be around, eventually get bought out, or something like that happens, and you know, then what are you left with? So it's like, that's my only worry. But you know, having both solutions, being able to play something locally and having the option to play online, I mean, play it like away from home online flawlessly, does sound nice. It's just the only scary part is that then how deep are they going to lean into that, you know? So, but yeah,
Only time will tell.
yep.
Save the planet, less waste.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're definitely. I think a cool way to go about it would be like maybe they could start like a subscription. Like maybe you could have digital content and still get the stuff that would come with a premium edition of a game. Maybe if you disconnect that from it being just physical, it could work. Like, excuse me, like if we're doing like an Amazon, or you buy something through the PSN where you can buy different tiers of the game and they'll just mail the shit to you. That kind of fills that void for me also.
Well, you know what? Because I think I get what you're saying. I think Square Enix actually does something similar where you can link your game to their account. And I've already gotten like a free hoodie, some like free other swag from them just by playing like Final Fantasy. What's the other? I think Control.
Yeah.
There was something else, but yeah, just by turning it on and like linking the accounts, I got free shit. I was fucking blown away. I was like, oh.
Or the
Hey,
other,
see, that's
yeah.
I mean,
That's
something
cool.
similar
That's
to
so
that,
cool.
because
Yeah.
that's awesome, and that's the type of stuff you receive from companies that in like 20 years, you look at it, you see it somewhere, and you're like, what the fuck is this? I've never seen this in my life. And it's like, oh yeah, this was given away at a fucking giving away to 50 people who subscribed first for the newsletter, like stupid shit that turns out to be fire, you know?
Yeah, it's good. Square Enix has been doing that for a long time. I have these Star Ocean 4 postcards that they mailed to me for no reason, for just because I bought and registered the game, and that's a 360 game. For no reason, they just sent that out, and like they did the same. For Final Fantasy 9, they did it. Like I got a little VV plush doll for Final Fantasy 9, and that's PlayStation 1. Square has been sending shit out forever, but yeah, if it, I don't think I have that one anymore, but I remember that they sent that.
Man.
My God. That's dope.
But yeah, you're right though, man. If other companies would do that, you get the best of both worlds. You have the digital game, you get like the art book with it, or a little statue or whatever it is.
Yeah. Like I know me, the only reason I would even consider buying like the Resident Evil 2 Ultimate Edition was because of the fucking statues of Leon, like with the gun out, that looks so awesome. If I could buy my game digitally and pay the same amount, and they'll mail that to me in a package, I'm cool with it. I don't have to take my ass to GameStop. I can start playing the game ahead of time and just wait for that to come, and it's the same thing. Like I'm not necessarily trying to go, bro. That shit's a real danger in certain hoods. You can't just be out. I live in Harlem, bro. I'm not gonna be on 125th waiting for something that's worth $400 or some shit to
walking around with Master Chief helmet, like
come on, I got the Citizen app. I know what it is. Motherfuckers get robbed out here for less every day. You can't catch me walking around with a PS5 in the hood. Are you getting robbed? Like that's just a real thing.
You better run, Forrest, run.
Yeah, I know that shit is not even like a problem for others, because they could drive 15 minutes to like a whole mall court where there's nothing happening. But out here, this shit is dead smack in the middle of the jacks. Like, I can't just be out here with a PS5, bro. That was like that was the equivalent to a mermaid coat back in the day. You remember that when those coats came out? How motherfuckers was getting beat up and cut for those? It's like the same thing with a PS5. PS5 a few months ago, if you were caught with one of those in the street, people were getting robbed, bro. It was ugly.
Shit.
Yeah, so I think that's a cool idea. Like what Square Enix, I didn't even know Square Enix did that, but I think that'd be cool. Like kind of disconnect the that part of it where it's like you don't have to go to a store to get this item with the game. You could do it online too.
It makes it exclusive, so it's like you have I like that it makes it, you have to get it through the game. You know what I mean? So it still kind of creates that kind of connection through it. You have to have played it. You had to have linked it.
Right.
You can only link it once, right? Because you only have that one account.
Yep.
It kind of still creates in a fun way. It really, at the end of the day, just find creative ways to nickel and dime us. Like trick us better, please. We want to give you the money. Just make us feel better about giving you our money.
It's true. It's something that somebody brought up. And I know we said we'd lay Stadia to bed, but it's like something that in I was reading on Twitter, these two guys going back and forth, was that he was saying, and it was a good point, that if Stadia allowed you, because you have to pay full price for the games, right? And then you can only share. If they had a solution where you could download your games, be able to play them locally off the internet on your computer, and then as well as their solution of, playing it through their Chromecast on your phone or whatever, that would have been that would have been way more nice looking to say, okay, you know what, like, it's another launcher, fine, I know everyone hate, but again, what you're getting is the ability to stream it, according to them, which turned out to not really be that true, is getting to stream the best of it. If you don't want to install, or you don't have the latest video card, but you want to see your game run flawlessly, your internet's working, you could just play the damn game, updated, full resolution, highest frame rate that I could run, but hey, your internet cuts out for a day, and all you have to do, and you already have it downloaded, let's say, or whatever, you have that option too. That would have made that way more appetizing than you can only be on the internet, which honestly Microsoft needs to offer as well, because if you really think about it, you have Game Pass, you can download those games, but if they're not available to stream, you can't play, or if you buy the game but don't subscribe, you can't stream the game, you know what I mean? Like, or if it leaves Game Pass, you can buy it, but again, you can't stream it anymore. So it's like, that's another thing that they need to like work on, like have both. Like if I want to download it and stream it, even if it leaves Game Pass, I should have that option to do so. But
maybe that's just like a server spacing, like they can't have, like too many games at once, so they have to like rotate the titles.
I mean, I just that no. I mean, that's for third party. That's just contractual. I'm sure it's just contractual.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and then after that, because they've already lost games, they brought them back. Like I think Red Dead just came, not Red Dead, GTA just came back, something like that. But
yeah.
you know, but it is what it is. But yeah, I guess we can move on. What do you have for us, Adokad?
Oh yeah, news-wise, so a game that's near and dear to my heart, Knights of the Old Republic KOTOR. There are rumors, are basically
It's all but official. Mm-hmm.
Was that?
I think it's all but official. Like it's pretty much official at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty much official that a studio Asper is developing a remake. So they, I think, previously ported it to iOS, and then they worked on Republic Commando, Episode 1 Racer, which we probably shouldn't talk about. And they brought another one to the Switch. So I'm pretty hyped because this was definitely one of my favorite games of all time, and then definitely my favorite Star Wars game. So I'm pretty
hyped. That's a game that I was saying earlier. I dabbled in it. I didn't get too far in it, but I really like Star Wars. So if they were to remake that, I would definitely get that in a heartbeat and play it. And I'm not really the biggest fan of Western like RPGs, you know, where you roll and do all this. But like I would, because I love Star Wars so much, I would definitely play that remake.
Yeah, it was just, oh man, the story was so good. Like it should have all been canon. It was just so well done. Definitely better than like the prequel movies for sure.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited about that. Moving on, Newegg is now accepting Dogecoin for payments.
Oh, wow.
Buy the dip. To the moon. Yeah, it's kind of wild. It took like a crazy jump. We got into like, it almost hit 50 cents, or maybe it did actually.
I think the highest 44 cents, and then everyone was saying 420, it's gonna go to the moon. Let's take it Doge Day 420, and it went up to like 44 cents. I think that maybe 40. I can't remember, but I don't think it quite hit 50, and then it just everyone jumped out. They were like, oh look, to give me money back. But
cowards.
I don't think it's gonna go below 20 cents, ever again. I think it's gonna stay between 20 and 30 probably for a while. So, you know, if you see it hit that 20, that might be the time to buy a little bit. You know,
if you're dabbling, this should be fun money. You shouldn't be throwing your life savings into fucking Dogecoin. If you are, then you deserve everything that comes your way. And the last bit of news is the Knicks have won 7 games in a row. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh wow.
Knicks, baby. Yeah.
Awesome.
And also Warzone is changing or some shit. I don't know.
Didn't they blow up for Danks or something like that? I haven't played and
I checked it out thinking it was gonna be like a dope event. Because they like drop a nuke on it, and that part is cool at the very end. But basically, it's just a big zombie map. You just drop. There's no other players to shoot. You just get chased by zombies the whole time. And then at the end, they drop a nuke, and that's it.
Oh, so, I see.
Oh wow.
But tonight at midnight, they're updating to the second map, so I'm gonna stay up and try to play that after the cast.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
I might have to do that. I need to see what
you guys
this is about.
maybe tag along.
Yeah, that sounds
like
good.
Shit, man. What about you, El Torrente? What you got for us, man?
Okay, in gaming related news, all right, we have the first 7 minutes of Mortal Kombat have been released online, HD goodness. Okay, just to kind of give people a feel for what's to come. I won't spoil anything for anybody. I don't want to, be that guy.
Gory. I heard it was gory.
Yeah, it's pretty out there, man.
Spoiled already, so it's gonna be gory, huh? There's gonna be blood and stuff.
Mortal Kombat movie's bloody.
I know. You shocked? You didn't see that come from.
I don't even want to know the name of the movie. You ruined that for me too.
You're right. My bad.
That's some shit. Wait, the name of the movie's Mortal Kombat? Nah.
Jesus, spoiler.
Damn.
Ruined. Yeah, no, but it looks really good, man. It looks really good. I like the tone of it. Appropriate amounts of blood and combat, which is all you really need to push a story like that forward. The lore in Mortal Kombat games is so thick over the years, especially from the beginning. Like there's a lot of cool twists and turns in the story that have gone down, since its first game, that kind of make this an exciting time as a fan, to see where they're gonna go, because there was a Mortal Kombat soft reboot in 2011 with Mortal Kombat. It was just called Mortal Kombat, and basically it picks up after the events of Armageddon, where it was just Raiden versus Shao Kahn, and he murders Raiden, and Shao Kahn takes over. Everybody in the Mortal Kombat universe is fucking dead, and Shao Kahn wins. he sends a vision to his old Raiden, and it goes back to part 1. So basically, it's Raiden trying to change the timeline so that he prevents the end of the world. But and no matter what he does, shit keeps fucking up. So
Final Fantasy VII remake type shit.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. Like the way they did it. It was kind of like Mortal Kombat Days of Futures Past. You want to say it had that element where anything he did, he fucked up something else. So there's a lot of, I don't know which way they're gonna go. If they're gonna go the traditional Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, or if they're gonna go with the 2011 remake where that stuff happened. I don't know. So it's exciting. But yeah, this Friday, people will be able to judge for themselves and see if they really did it, if they pulled it off, you know.
Yeah, I'm watching that immediately. Yep.
Oh yeah,
I'll be watching it for sure.
Yeah, got tickets. I'm gonna watch it in theaters, and then I'm gonna come home and watch it on my TV because I have HBO.
What's it releasing on at home? HBO Max or?
Yeah. HBO Max. So
fire. They've been getting the fucking haters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this subscription. I think the subscriber numbers jumped up a whole lot this year. They caught up to Netflix in a big way.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently, this whole thing with movies being released on the platform won't go beyond this year, though, because since everything is rapidly coming back to normal, they're not trying to lose that money, you know.
Yeah.
Nah, definitely not.
Well, I mean, we got to see because people forget. I mean, I know all this stock shit has people going nuts, myself included. But like movie theaters were already on the way out before all this shit. People weren't really feeling dropping $50 for a tub of popcorn.
Yeah, no, that's true. They were kind of struggling. This just kind of put them in a much more
bought them some time.
Decisive position. They got to make a decision now if they want to kind of keep it going or not. I think after 2022, we'll be able to tell if theaters are actually back or if they're just going to be mediocre and maybe it's better off closing the doors.
I think it's going to be one of those, like, a lot will shut down and then there'll be a resurgence in some way. You know what I mean? Because look at, like, things like, you know, computer stores, you know what I mean? Like you had like all these stores that sold computer parts like that. A lot of them shut down. A lot of them went out of business, you know, and didn't make it. And now you have something like Microsoft coming up from the, like out of nowhere, opening stores left and right, and you know, and things like that. And there's a lot of little, you know, like there's like it goes down, but then there, you know, maybe some creative resurgence, some new business strategy. You know, they're gonna have to offer more. You know, the whole picking your own seat, you know, was to me was like a big reason why I continue to go to the movies. But you know,
they are all trying to upscale now, which is a good idea. Also, RIP to Circuit City.
Yeah, exactly.
But they are trying to upgrade, which I do like. I like getting food and like drinking. I guess if they make it a much more mature kind of thing, maybe it'll get them through some tough times. That could work.
Yeah, I went to the theater a couple weeks ago. I went to watch that movie Nobody, which is pretty good.
I saw that yesterday actually.
Yeah, it was cool, right? It had some cool scenes. And the AMC over at 34th Street, they invested money in that building. Like they changed a lot of the facade. They got heated seats.
Oh shit!
They got heated reclining seats. They got a bar ready to be open once everybody's back 100%.
That's the one over on the east side, right?
Not on the west side. It's like over on like 8th Ave.
Yeah.
One like on 32nd, all the way to like the east side.
It's right by that fucking Quiznos and train station.
Right.
I haven't been there in years. Wow.
Yeah, they put a lot of money in that spot. Nice. I was surprised.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like I said, I think there'll be a dip, but I think with some creative ideas, maybe get some new people running things. You know, like the theater experience can be worth it. It's just. It got to be worth it. It got to be like better than being at home. You know what I mean? It's like you need some get a mani-pedi while you're watching a movie or some shit. You know what I mean? Getting massages and shit.
It's just like no one wants to go into what was increasingly getting into a smaller and smaller space, arm to arm with people who are then shouting at the screen while you just drop $60. It's like what the fuck?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. Imagine getting a lap dance while watching your movie. Come on, no, just me.
No.
All right, just me. Fine. Forget you guys. You guys are no fun. But I guess we can move on to the
topic of the day.
Yes, yay! All right, so. The last time we actually discussed a specific topic was handhelds because we had kind of ignored that. So we're going to go into another genre that we've kind of ignored just a little bit, which is RPGs and JRPGs. respectively. And that's one of the reasons why we brought our friend Lurock over here to help kind of reminisce and talk a little bit about RPGs, things like that. So I mean, what is an RPG to you, Lurock? What would you say makes JRPG a JRPG besides being from Japan?
Yeah. It's crazy because that question has caused a lot of controversy. Like a lot of people, to me, if you've got stats you can play with, if there's a storyline that you can follow through and make sort of decisions, it doesn't always have to be like vocal dialogue decisions. But if you have, you can make some decisions, and also you progress through battling. Your character increases in strength or whatever it is, whatever type of class it is. That to me is an RPG, and that was invented with the whole like Dungeons and Dragons shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Japan, they took that and kind of made it a little simpler. And so Dragon Quest, which was the first JRPG, took that whole like Ultima style of gameplay and just made it really simple. Like you play one guy, you fight and over, and like you level up until you progress through the game and beat it. To me, that's pretty much an RPG. And yeah, like the first one I played was Final Fantasy VI, long time ago. I mean, I think it was like 95 or something like that. So about a year after it came out, I was at a friend's house, and they were playing it. Like they had it paused on a scene. And at that time, I didn't know shit about RPG. I only ever played, Mario, Donkey Kong, Street Fighter 2, Contra, the games that we all know, right? Like RPGs weren't that big back then.
Exactly.
So I was like, yo, what is this? And he was like, oh, that's Final Fantasy 3. And I'm like, what? Why is he not jumping? Like, why is this guy not jumping? Where are the guns?
Where are the guns, damn it?
Yeah,
like where are the platforms? Like, I don't understand this. And
yeah,
he
that
was
must
like,
be odd to see the look of something that should be doing that, but it just isn't.
Yeah, right. It was
Overhead.
like overhead, but it was at the time. It was like really good Super Nintendo graphics, but it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And he was my man. Hold on, let me school you on what's happening here. And he explained that you have a lot of control. It's like you have to like kind of micromanage each character and do all this, and I just fell in love with it. My brother and I just fell in love with the story. The story is what grabbed me. It was like a novel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. Those games that I just talked about, like Mario and Donkey Kong, there's no story there. It's more gameplay. But that RPG, Final Fantasy VI, was incredible. Like that shit was emotional.
On the story.
Yeah, like it had like scenes of like suicide in it, or attempted suicide. It had like people, like physical abuse,
family loss. Really
yeah, exactly. And so like it resonated with me.
Yeah.
And so from then on, I just kept playing that series, learning more about RPGs and different type of games, and that's how I got into it.
Yeah, for me, it's funny you brought that up, because the way I got introduced at all was through Final Fantasy VII, which is a lot of people around my age. 7 was like their first JRPG. I don't know if you remember that commercial. It's just like, if you and they're here, you all you have to do is hit the reset button. And it was like this dramatic ass commercial, and
you see the giant meteor, and you're like, what is
that? And I didn't understand what the hell game I was looking at. And then my boy borrowed it, and they were like, oh yeah, he was just like, it's, you play a little bit different. And I remember, you're running around, and the screen changed, whoosh, and then all of a sudden you're picking your moves and all that. That was like so amazing. It was interesting to me at the time. And then I didn't have a PlayStation, so this is Mike, who was on our podcast a few episodes ago. He had all the cool stuff. So I had borrowed, at the time I still had one of my friends' Super Nintendo, and he had my Sega. So I went to Blockbuster, and I was looking at games, and I see Final Fantasy 3, and I'm like, holy shit. And I was like, because I was like, that's right, I'm playing 7, there's 6 other ones. Like, so I rented Final Fantasy 3, and I immediately and I had already played a lot of 7 at this point, and I loved it so much more than 7. And like, even after I finally beat 7 and I went back to that game, I'm like, this is, even with the old graphics, such a better game. Like, I love the stuff that they covered, doing freaking suplexing a train. I don't know, it's like a meme from that game where you literally can suplex a train. and you actually had to do button combinations with one of the characters to do these special moves called what are they called? Blitz. Yeah, blitz moves.
Yeah. You have to do Street Fighter. You have to pull off Street Fighter type of controller combinations to do his moves.
Exactly, like back down back. Yeah.
Right, back down back, half quarter circles. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so that for real, like Final Fantasy VI definitely, I loved Kefka as a villain, and I just loved that it didn't really focus on one. I mean, Terra was like, I guess, the de facto like main character, but it didn't really focus only on her. You know what I mean? You had
everybody had their shine in that game, and there's 14 different playable characters in that game, which is still the largest in any Final Fantasy. And it was a really big cast, and every character has a really deep storyline. Which is awesome.
Yeah, and like I was saying with the whole loss of family, is like that whole the reason you even fight the train. It's a ghost train. Is like the king loses his wife and daughter to Kefka, who poisons a whole town. He kills hundreds of people.
What the what? Oh
yeah, and he ends up killing like all these people, kills the daughter, and so you end up watching them go like on the train that takes you to the other side, and right after you fight the train, you see his wife and daughter on the train going, and that still is one of the deepest. Yeah, that shit hurts. It's like fuck, it was a sad ass scene, and
And with Terra, her whole thing is she has something missing in her life, and she knows that it's love. And so the whole game, you're thinking she's trying to find like a romantic love, but towards the end of the game, you realize that she wants like family, like children type of love. She doesn't care about a romantic love. She's just trying to find that deeper connection of love. I thought that was really cool, like a different. Usually you see romance in games, but it was deeper than that.
And we're talking what, 94 this game came out? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I was like, that's why to this day it's still like will be forever be like one of my favorite games of all time, and I can play it over and over again. Like there's parts where the path splits. You got to pick which character arc you want to follow. I mean, you end up doing all of them, but you can do them in any order you want. Like like that's definitely
you get a choice. That's how I was talking about. Like it gives you a choice, and the choices in Japanese RPGs aren't as deep as Western RPGs, but they're still there in a way.
Right.
I was gonna say that's like the main split for me between them, but
yeah. And another thing about Final Fantasy, one last thing about Final Fantasy is that for me, I was thinking about it, and Final Fantasy is a system seller for me, which is crazy to think. Like I didn't get it for Super Nintendo. I already had it, and I got into it. But PlayStation 1, I got it because Final Fantasy 7 came out on it. PlayStation 2, I got it because I knew Final Fantasy 10 was coming out on it. PlayStation 3, I bought it the day that Sony announced that Final Fantasy 7 was on it digitally. and then Final Fantasy 13 came out on it, and what was the next one? PlayStation 3, I got that because I knew Final Fantasy 13 was coming out on it, and fucking PlayStation 4. Well, I already knew I was gonna get a PlayStation 4, but Final Fantasy 15 came out for that, and PlayStation 5 I'm gonna get when PlayStation 16 comes out. I mean, Final Fantasy 16 comes out. I don't really care about any other PlayStation 5 games, but 16 is what's gonna make me buy that system, which is crazy.
I really hope the story is good because, like like you've heard me, say over and over again.
Yeah.
Naoki Yoshida from Final Fantasy 14. I'm sorry, to this day, has taken over the best after 6. To me, the best Final Fantasy game ever is 14, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But
I still haven't. But
one day, I'm telling you, or if it really feels like they're setting it up to go offline, like to be playable offline, it really feels like they're future proofing the game. If that ever happens, just like they did with Dragon Quest 11, I believe it was an MMO, and they turned it into a single player offline game. If that ever happens, definitely play that game. It is the storylines, everything that they touch on.
That's why I always hear the storylines are the best in that.
Yeah, like they,
crazy.
Especially the last one. So when I heard that he was going to be director on or producing or helping out with 16, I was like, this is going to be a good game. It already feels like it. Like Jose had mentioned last week, like sometimes like with a band, you want what made that band good. You know what I mean? You don't want them to change it up. And if 16 is giving me a lot of 14 vibes, then I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if it's a very similar story or, you already see it. Like what I noticed that he does, and this is one of the reasons why I like JRPGs, is that, just like any great anime, you have like, there's a lot of pride in certain things, or like, when the villain who's about to die finally sees the light a little bit, like you get some of those things in there. And one thing that he focuses on in 14 is emotion. And like there's like this small story arc that is finally like getting wrapped up now, that happened in the last expansion. They finally wrapping it up in this expansion. Is that this little, I forget the type, the race that he is, but this little like bug looking race, this little boy, he ends up his parents are missing and he can't find them, and you're helping him find his parents. And when you finally reach them, freaking they get murdered right in front of him. And when that happens, he gets so upset and so emotional. Yeah, he literally exactly so upset that he summons a whole fucking he summons Titan. So that's the whole thing about 14. 14 is about you're part of a group that fights the summons, which is like a lot of Final Fantasy have been
very
about.
Reminiscent of Final Fantasy 16 and that boy who summons.
Exactly. Like, that's exactly what I was getting to. It's like once I saw that, I was like, that's Yoshida all the way right there. Like the fact that you see the boy get hurt and then he, like energy comes out. Like to me, that's a real thing. Like how you always hear about like the pregnant woman saw someone in danger, lifted a car, that type of shit. Like that's what he does a lot. And I don't know, there's something about that resonates with me. It's just like when you get traumatized so much that energy that he summons a whole ass demon, like without me even wanting to. He didn't mean to do it. He was just so traumatized by watching his family die that he, and then everything was set up. There's like, there's a little bit more to it about how it got summoned, but it was that emotion that eventually made freaking Titan, someone come out of nowhere, and freaking now you have to fight freaking this demon now because of what happened. So I've seen that in 16, and that's what's getting me excited. Like, like I think it's gonna be a good game.
It's funny, like that, the way you're talking about the way the stories progress and like the intensity and the emotion behind the storylines. I'm just noticing, it's not like I never noticed before, but just thinking about it right now, that's kind of been an ongoing thing for Japanese creators in general, right?
Yeah, like that's exactly right. They do it kind of over the top, but it's not cheap,
right. Like if you pay attention to anime, you're talking about like Dragon Ball, like watching Krillin die was a fucking moment,
Right. That's like a super fighting type of anime, but you still felt it.
Right, like you felt like he would. That to me was reminiscent of like in the Walking Dead comics when Glenn gets killed. Like when Glenn gets killed, it felt like that, like how he screams out for Goku, and he's like, Goku, he just dies. Like he was helpless. He was begging for help, and he just gets killed. That's something across anime. You can see it in games like Rival Schools. There's an intense. It's not just a school fighting another school. Like there's rivalries there that have been going on for years. Crazy emotional. You look at Super Sentai, which is like the original Power Rangers in Japan. Those stories are way darker than the American Angel Grove teenagers fighting putties and fucking with bullies and all that shit, that corny shit that I too loved. Bro, the Japanese stories are way crazier. Like you have Rita Raposa is actually Bandora. She's like a witch who has like, kills orphans and shit. Like she's a menace. Like it's a different level. Their stories have always been crazy. Like one of my first experiences with a JRPG was Little Ninja Brothers and Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah, like that you gave me.
I gave it to Games actually because he was such a huge fan of Final Fantasy that I was like, you know what? I'm holding on to this just because I know what it is. But the truth is, he'd appreciate it more, so I gave it to him.
How did you run into that game?
It was funny enough. It was just I ran into that game because of a bad Christmas. Like it was just a bad Christmas. One of those Christmases where my mom was like, "Listen, this year is gonna be light. Times are rough." And it was like, okay, cool. That game was like $20 or something, and she bought it for me just thinking it's a Nintendo game, he could play it, whatever. I don't know what the fuck it is. I threw it on, and I'm playing this turn-based shit, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
I don't even understand what I'm doing. But then I started catching the hang of it, and I got a good ways through it. But then I started playing like Zelda and Mario and the Donkey Kongs and everything like that. So I kind of veered off because that game it was like a learning curve. I wasn't prepared for mentally. I didn't even know what this shit was. So it just sat there for a long time. I also I saw Little Ninja Brothers. And I asked my grandfather to get it for me. One day, it was one of those days, like, oh, buy, I'll get you something. What do you want? That game was like $25, and I love the animation. Like, it had these little kids who were ninjas. It was really bright and vibrant. Reminded me a lot of anime that I wasn't too crazy about, but I knew of it. It wasn't that popular back then, and
Right.
it just looked different to me. So I went and got that, and then I realized, oh shit, this is like Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right,
That game is
whatever. I
tough
played
too.
that, but I got really far in that game, and I remember like a big plot twist in the game that again ties into what you were saying about these stories that get real intense, and you're like, oh shit, this is cool. There was like a whole guy acting like somebody else in that game. Like, he was this fucking menacing, like, tyrant dude who was running it, but he was posing as the mayor of the little city that you're in. And it turns out he's just like this evil ass dude who just wants to eat everything in sight, and he's just like gluttonous, and he wants to kill the brothers. And it was crazy to me. I was like, what the fuck? But that was like, yeah, that was my intro to it. And then it wasn't until years later, on PlayStation 1, because of Mario and Eddie, they played Final Fantasy so much, Final Fantasy 7, that after they were done with it, Mario loaned it to me. I started playing Final Fantasy 7, got up to the second disc. Again, RPGs were never my strong suit. Like, I'm huge on fighters and platformers.
But to get to the second disc, that's a lot of hours.
Yeah,
That's
it took a while. Like, I witnessed, the flower girl dying and everything.
Spoilers.
Like, yeah, 30-year spoilers, guys. But you know what I'm saying? But I witnessed all that. I was like, oh, this shit's cool, but still, other games got my attention more. And Xenogears, I was big on Xenogears.
Oh yeah,
I love
Xenogears.
Xenogears is one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite games too.
Yeah.
It's a really long game, and that you want to talk about deep. That's one of the deepest stories in RPG. That shit gets like talks about religion, philosophical shit, like Nietzsche shit. Like, it gets
Like
really deep.
Yeah, no, he's right. Like, the main villain in that game, who controls one of the bots that you fight in, he's actually like a fucking liquid snake type character. Like, he's just pure evil and just wants to get back at the world type shit.
And eventually, at the end of the game, the final boss is God in that game. Like, that that whole universe is God is the final boss in that game, and that game is so deep that they didn't actually finish it. The second disc has a lot of unplayable moments where it's just the main character sitting down and there's just a bunch of text. Like, the creator didn't get to finish the game fully, which is a testament to how deep that storyline really was. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yep, and they still delivered that as a final product. You just got what you got. You know what I'm saying?
No updates. No day one patches.
This shit is unplayable. GamePro said so. You're not playing that.
Yeah.
Just read the text. There's nothing to do here. Just fucking move on. That's it. There's not gonna be no fucking have them finish Xenogears survey. There's not gonna be no petition. None of that is Snyder cut shit back then. It was not happening. You were getting told to fuck off or don't buy the game.
Yeah,
we need them.
And then that guy went on to do like the Xenosaga games, which I never got into, but those are really also really long games. And then he did the really popular Xenoblade titles.
Right.
And, which is a great. Xenoblade is also one of my favorite RPGs ever. That storyline is intense.
Yeah.
I'm glad they redid that game for the Switch, because
I need to get into it, because I'm like I've seen it, and there's I've read up on. I'm like, it's just one of those, like you said, like it's like jumping into a 60-hour.
It's 60. It's 100.
100-hour day.
It's like a 100-hour game.
I mean, I could, but it's like, damn. I'm just scared it won't hook. I need to be hooked. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I'll try. I'll get around to it.
That kind of going back to what you were saying earlier about intense storylines and Japanese RPGs. It's easy to see why, like, for me, the equivalent to something like that takes a huge amount of hours to like really cut into it is like the last game I played with like that was Death Stranding. Like, Death Stranding was a fucking grind. But again, everybody knows Kojima. His games are like 3 hours long, but when you add in all this intense story and emotional depth, the game comes out to being like fucking 20 hours of cutscenes shit. You know what I mean?
He takes the Japanese storyline, like stereotypes, and turns it upside down. Like, his way of doing games is completely different to what we're talking about. He gets
Yeah,
silly.
he gets crazy with it because he's
Yeah.
such a fan of Western culture too that
Right.
he takes
combines
the
that
elements.
intensity that we're talking about with Western, and it creates this whole thing that's
Right.
him, which
Like
is
Kojima low key knows more about our government than our government.
Yeah, it's true. Because if
The government's history, he knows about all those conspiracies. He knows about anything that happened from the 50s to the 80s. Like he is in there. His mind is tied up in our shit.
yeah,
So he takes his like anime style of thinking and the shit. He's a huge fan of anime and
he
like
is.
and he takes that and he puts it toward like, all right, what if you took anime style storytelling and applied it to Western, history?
Or Tom Clancy type of style.
Exactly.
Mixed in with like Alice in Wonderland, mixed in with like and he creates his own shit.
Yeah, and if you
it's
break
kinda
down part 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty or whatever, he apparently a lot of stuff he foretold us. Like he predicted a lot of things in there, like the rise of like social media and things like that, and it's crazy. Like I have to go back. I've been meaning to go back and play. I started to replay it a while ago. It's just it's aged. You can feel the age in the game, but yeah, like that was like at the time one of the least liked Metal Gears, and he pretty much like predicted a lot of what was coming. Like he could already see it. So it's like pretty crazy stuff.
Adokata, do you like any RPGs, any JRPGs? You played any?
For the most part, I really can't stand any of them.
Yeah, you full of shit.
Right.
I played pretty much everything you guys have. Like, I'm trying to think of the first one I've ever played, and I can't really put my finger on it, so I'm gonna say it was probably Final Fantasy VII. I want to say it might have been a 2D one, but I really can't remember what it would have been.
You played 9, right?
I love 9. 9 is actually my favorite one.
Yeah. A lot of people like 9 a lot. Like that's like coming up as like a lot of people's favorite.
Exactly, yeah. Like recently now it's like had a resurgence where all of a sudden all these like undercover dudes who like are people who like loved it are now like coming out and like, I actually loved it. I'm like, well, where the fuck were you like last time?
Exactly. Just like that reminds me of like Wind Waker. Like everyone loves Wind Waker. Where the hell were you when the GameCube was out?
On it. They said, well, this doesn't look like Ocarina, or it doesn't look like Majora's.
Right.
So shit.
Exactly.
Now,
And the same thing with Final Fantasy. This doesn't look like 8. 8 was the cool, I hated 8 to be honest.
Like chibi characters, and people couldn't handle like the chibi characters. Like, oh, it's so childish. I'm like, this story was fire. The gameplay was fire. Like everything was so good.
Yeah, I just played it on Switch, and I'm like, man, I honestly slept on it because I think by the time 9 came out, I was like in a weird place. I think I think I was like, had girlfriends and shit, and which, or just like in a place where I just didn't get hooked on it. Like I would try to start it, and then I don't know. We're talking.
Sold themselves like Final Fantasy at that time. I mean, now we can look back and we know what it was, but for like back then, it was also a big reason why I know I got it, at least, was they were also the best looking games. 7 was the dopest looking fuking game. 8 was like the dopest looking game, and then 9 came. You're like, what the fuck? Cartoon? What the hell?
Yeah.
They look good. They still had really good like pre-rendered backgrounds. Square always prided themselves in having the most expensive like graphics engines in those days, and so they're still doing that to this day. Final Fantasy 16 is going to be one of the best looking PS5, Series X PC games. Like whenever. Honestly, 15 even till this day really takes a lot of processing power, and that game came out quite a few years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say you took the words right out of my mouth.
Man, what a shitty game.
What, 15? Yeah.
I know you guys hate that guy. I liked it.
Had fire moments. I'll give it that. It had really cool moments.
Exactly.
I was like, holy shit, that's amazing.
Like like the whole Leviathan fight, that shit blew me away. Like the Leviathan fight was amazing, and there were some moments that I got choked up, and like the whole thing with the princess, and some moments hit me good.
Good, but it was kind of rushed towards the end, and
yeah, that whole 10-year thing, I don't know, I wasn't really feeling that thing. That it just kind of came out of nowhere, and it's just like it just kind of
tried to fix it with the DLCs, but by then it was already a little too.
And they kind of made it. It almost felt like they made the whole journey pointless if 10 years was gonna pass anyway, and the end of the and this guy was gonna just, I don't know it. And then I made the mistake. I had an SSD, and I made the mistake of playing the game rated on a regular hard drive, and the load times just kind of like killed me.
Yeah, it was rough on a PS4. but
Yeah.
that was the only thing I knew when it came out. So
And that's the other thing. Like I didn't mind. Like I liked the giant map that they had. I liked what they did. You know, I did hear, you know, it does get linear at the end or whatever, but you know, having the car and doing the side, I actually enjoyed. And that's the thing. I played that game for like 60 hours, and I think that was I think by the end I just got so burnt out. You know, doing the side quests, all the load times, all the extra shit that it's like, and then I was overpowered by the end. Like I did so much shit, I was just so overpowered by the end of the game. I just breezed through it, and it was just kind of like a, you know, I guess that's what it was. It didn't leave me feeling like anything. I beat the game, the credits were rolling. I was like, I don't feel anything, fair. You know. But yeah, like I don't know. I don't just kind of, I know, you know, I don't, yeah, rather. I give it its props where props are due, but yeah, it could have been a little bit better, you know. And that's the same thing with like 13. I have to go back to 13. I know that, you know, I hear the storyline gets good later in the game, and I hear like, I think if you play through 2, I hear 2 is a better story than 3 like really wraps it up. But I don't.
Yeah, 13. I'm actually not the biggest fan of the story. I like the combat in 13. I really like the paradigm system in that game, and that's what kept me invested till the end.
Yeah,
I'm a big like, as much as I like storylines, like I like battle systems more in RPGs. So if it's got a good battle system, I'll forego the story.
That's why I like 12. 12 was good for the battle system.
Yeah, 12 is really good. The story is fucking basura in the game, but the gameplay is really good.
I think that's why I hated 8, because I didn't like the battle system and I hated the story.
God, exactly. Fantasy Vii battle system is garbage. Terrible.
It was a fucking mess. Yeah, that was bad.
The fact that my boy was like on the final boss beating them at level 12, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't care for it. Like I get what it's trying to do. It's trying to be different, and I respect it. But you know, not for nothing, a lot of people shit on 2's battle system. I don't know if you played the OG Japanese 2. I didn't mind it. I actually enjoyed it. I kind of like the whole. I kind of like the.
Like you gotta hit yourself or like. Yeah. That's how you get stats by
by using the weapons and stuff. 11 took from that a lot. Like in 11 you could be the highest level at the time was like 75, but let's say you used a great axe and you want to switch to a great sword, you actually have to go to fight low level stuff with your great sword to level your skills up. And then
it all comes from the Saga series. I don't know if you know about the Saga series, like Saga Frontier, which just came out on the Switch.
I just bought it.
Romancing Saga series, like Final Fantasy Legend on the Game Boy. Those games, that guy worked he worked on Final Fantasy 2, so that's all his style of shit. I just didn't like the Final Fantasy 2. I don't know why.
I see. I don't know. I played it like a couple of years ago, and I don't know, I got kind of hooked on it, and I was just like, I don't know, I always heard negative things about it, and I kind of liked it. And I see I know what you mean. I haven't played. I just rebought Saga Frontier. And it's a little bit rough, you know. You can see the age.
I love Saga Frontier, but it's rough. Number one, and number two, it's an incredibly hard game.
Yeah,
and it's one of the most non-linear games ever. Like it's super. The game throws you in and just goes like, do whatever you want.
Exactly. And then it's like then you have the runes and the little side quests that are just like random. Like it was a little.
Like, you'll run into a room and then you'll beat these guys very easily, and then you go to the next room and a boss will kill you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's the word.
Yeah, it's very like you have to like know what to grind on, like what enemies to grind. Like I had a walkthrough because I'm like, I know this game is weird like that. So I threw up an old GameFAQs walkthrough, and then I was playing it old school. I was just like, let me see, and then it's like, oh, if you go into this one in this like research lab, you can fight the very first monster but if you go a little bit more in, they kick your ass. Only the first monster, you have to keep going in and and you have to keep going in and out to fight that one so you can level. And the thing, you know what makes it even shittier is that the monsters level up with you, so you have to be careful because you're stronger, but they're stronger.
You can't be a scrub. You have to really. It's like Dark Souls games.
I was say, like Dark Souls, you gotta be like, wow.
Yeah, like but it is cool for like what it is. I don't know. I was enjoying my time with it, but it is something that's a little tedious. I was like, this is real old school for me. I'm like, wow. I don't know if I could even, you know, they added a new storyline and all. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but you know, we'll see.
Have you ever played the Shin Megami Tensei games, like
only Persona 5? I played a little bit of 4, but yeah. 5 got really popular fast, and like you see Persona fans now jumping out of the woodwork. Like it's such a big franchise now, it's crazy.
And I didn't like 5 at all.
You didn't like
No?
it?
I don't know what I don't know.
I loved it. I was like enjoying my time, the whole talking to the monsters and collecting them and
Yeah.
And
the
fucking
whole like
fun.
jumping into their psyche and shit. I don't know. I
It's not
loved
for
it.
everyone. It's not for everyone. Like you really gotta. You either really enjoy, like Persona games or SMT games, or you really don't fuck with it. Like, you hate it. You know.
It's so weird though, because it's a dialogue game, and I
Yep.
get that, and it's like, all right, so maybe you don't like dialogue games, but I've been playing Disco Elysium. I fucking love it.
I've been wanting to try that.
Yeah,
It's
I've been.
so fun.
I need
Nothing
to
but
play that.
dialogue.
Yeah, because it's like the right answers could be the wrong answer, and
Oh my god, it's crazy. Nothing you say feels right. It's bananas for like the first couple hours. You're just like, what? Like, who am I? It's crazy. It's really, really well done though.
Yeah, Persona's not that.
No, I couldn't. The talking didn't click. The combat didn't click. The combat got annoying. I was just like, I don't know. I just
Really?
wasn't feeling.
wow,
was-
I'm sad to hear that because I'm like I thought Persona 5 was such a good game. 4, my problem with 4 was just the simple fact that there's so much talking in the beginning. Like even the
There's a lot.
dance game, the dancing all night game.
Yeah, the dancing games have a lot of talking in it.
Yeah, like 5 it hits you kind of hit the ground running in 5, whereas 4 is like literally 2.5 hours of talking, like cutbacks, cuts, yeah, until
Yeah.
5. But the thing with 4 though is that for such a slow build up, when that shit unleashes on you, it's like, oh, you know, like you see him get his power for the
Yeah.
first time, and the music comes on, and it's just like,
The characters are just good. There's a lot of great characters. All the whole cast is fun.
yeah,
That's why Persona 4. Persona 3 has a lot of talking. I don't like Persona 3 as much because the where you fight that tower shit. I hate that. I don't like that combat at all. But
yeah. And it's funny because I tried the original Persona. It got 5 out of 5 on
I don't like that game.
on GamePro at the time, and I used to trust GamePro's 5-star ratings. So I went and bought Persona, and I hated it. I was like, what the hell am I doing in this game? I don't really remember a whole lot. All I remember is I got
I
into a
didn't
fight.
like Persona 2 either. I didn't like Persona 2.
Yeah, it was just
weird.
boring. It was just like, I don't know what the fuck. And I was like, this got a 5 out of 5. What the hell is going on here? Like I guess
This one. I was like, well, what's going on here? Like, why am I trying to steal this dude's? Like, why? What?
yeah. I
Like-
mean, and I get it. And it has that very if you listen to the English dub, it has that very anime
Yeah.
American dub, shitty dub, but some of
Yeah.
the annoying characters. But I don't know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole I don't know, the mystery to it, and I don't know. I liked 5 a lot. Even Pfeffer enjoyed, she was enjoying a lot of it too,
fair.
whatnot. But different strokes, I guess.
Did you guys play Grandia 2?
Yes.
I have I didn't have a Dreamcast back in the day. I never got a Dreamcast,
played on
and I never
Dreamcast.
bought it for PS2, so I never got to play Grandia 2. I did play Grandia 1, and I really liked that game.
It's on
You
PC
love
now,
too,
so
Those games that I don't think about it, but every time I do, it's just nothing but positive thoughts. Like it
Yeah.
it wasn't like overly complicated. Didn't try to redo anything or like rewrite the book on them. It just did everything really solidly, and it was like it was good.
yeah,
I
like
have the remaster on the Switch, so one day I'll get around
you should get to it. Yeah, it's cool. It's I don't it's probably aged a bit by now, but same thing. Like I remember it just being easy to jump into, fun little storyline. It's very Final Fantasy kind of
It
like.
wasn't too long, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't think it was
just-
super long either. Yeah, like I think it was probably like, if I had to guess, probably like 20, maybe 30 hours, maybe. Again, I could be wrong. And then you lost, some people died, and they gets emotional, and it follows those decent tropes. I don't know. I really liked Grandia too. I had a lot of fun with that. And then
Well, I was just at Lurock. Did you play? Because he said he plays like lots of JRPGs. So I'm just curious because very few people I know have played this one. Did you play Lost Odyssey?
Of course, Lost Odyssey was one of the best 360 games.
one of the
Yeah,
best Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, I mean, Lost Odyssey was developed by Sakaguchi, who was like the father of Final Fantasy, and he left Square. He made Mistwalker developer like studios and created Blue Dragon on a 360, which I was really hyped for, and
Yeah.
Lost Odyssey. Lost Odyssey was just really cool. It was a really sad game too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why I'd never beat it because it was just so sad. It would get me like.
It was a bummer. Yeah, it's a bummer, and it's a bit of a slow burn at times.
It's funny you say that because 10 to me was such a bummer of a game. I enjoyed 10 at the time. I think it was a great game. It just felt so depressing half the time. It was like he's 1,000 years in the future. He lost everybody he knows. Then this girl's, he's trying to sit, and then he finds out who his father is, and
and they had sad music.
And then it was always like some sad shit, and the they're trying to be happy, and it's just like I don't know.
But the combat system in 10 was great.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I was playing from the beginning, from like minute 1 to like 99,
and then getting a new and then a new summon. When you got a new summon and you're gonna see the cutscene for that summon, oh man, that's what made 10 for me. It was just like it's like the summoning was fucking fire in that game. I couldn't get into 10 too though. I don't know, them turning into pop stars. I hated it.
It's a perfect example of, I hate the storyline, but the combat is so good.
That's what I hear too.
I kept playing it. Yeah,
my boys said the same thing. He's like, but it has such a good combat system, the way you could change. And I was just like, I hear you, but we're talking 20 years ago. Whenever it came out, about 20 years ago. That's I was 16 at the time, or 17, whenever, and it was just like they became pop stars. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was a lot to take in at the time. You know what bugged me out back in the Super Nintendo days again? Like we all played Mario, right? Like obviously we love Mario Brothers. They announced that they were gonna make a Mario RPG, and it was literally gonna be called the Super Mario RPG. And so I was already an RPG fan at the time, and so my brother and I were just floored. We were like, "What? They're gonna make Mario in an RPG style? Like, I can't believe this."
Yeah.
And the game came out. I forget. It was like one of the last games that came out on Super Nintendo. It really used a lot of its power, and this was one of the greatest games I ever played in my life. It's still one of the best RPGs ever because it was made by Square Enix and Nintendo together. And I had to mention that game.
That's a fucking collabo for the ages, bro.
It really is.
Yeah,
it's great, and they never worked together again. They made Paper Mario. Nintendo by themselves made Paper Mario, but I never got into that series.
What about the GBA and the Mario and Luigi?
No.
They're all right. They try to be like Mario RPG. That's the closest you're gonna get.
Yeah, I always hear that, but I hold Mario RPG in such a high pedestal that none of those games could ever There's
a certain magic to it. There's definitely a magic in Mario RPG that you do not feel in the Mario Luigi saga, because the Mario Luigi saga got silly. Because a Mario RPG did have its comedic value in it, but the seriousness of the story, it didn't overshadow the seriousness of what the story was, even though it was lighthearted and you had they leaned into the comedy, and I think that's what I didn't like about the GBA games.
They didn't have Square to do that like intense part of it.
Exactly.
And,
you gotta have writers on staff for that type of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you do. And so every year, and I'm glad E3 is coming back, because every year when E3 comes around, my number one like most wished for shit is a Mario RPG 2, like legit with Square. For this, if it came out for the Switch, like for me that would break my internet. That would sell Switches beyond.
It's not, but it would, just like a Mother 3,
Right, I was just gonna say that. That or a Mother 3 localization.
Did you hear about the patch today? Or yesterday? They released a really good like fan translation.
Right, because of the anniversary or whatever.
Yeah, came out and it fixed some bugs. So like this is probably the closest you're gonna get to Western release.
Or Earthbound.
It was the anniversary of a Mario RPG back in March too, right? It was like the 25th anniversary.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny that you say it was one of the last games, because I remember seeing commercials for Mario RPG, and then I remember being in Blockbuster and they had a Nintendo 64 with Mario 64 in it, and I thought they were the same game for a second, because you have that overhead look of Mario RPG, and it kind of had like that 3D feel, and then I saw that and I was like, well, if you don't want to get a Nintendo 64, you could always play the the Mario RPG. I thought they were similar games.
No, Mario 64 like 10 times better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just I was younger. I was just like, wait, what? And then I don't know if I rented it. I think I rented it, and that's when I was like, this is amazing. Like it was not. And I was like this. And then when I saw Square pop up. I was like, oh, Square made, and this is fresh off of Final Fantasy VI. So it was like I had just played 6 and then I played that, and I was just like, yo, I loved it. Like it is an amazing game, Mario RPG, I gotta say.
Another interesting thing. Oh, go ahead, Jose.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say another interesting thing about Mario RPG is the music. The composer, I forgot her name. I think her last name is Shinimura or something like that. I could be wrong, but she did the music for those Mario Luigi games. And even though she does the music for it, it still doesn't give me that Mario RPG aspect. But she also did the music for Street Fighter. I didn't know that. Street Fighter 2. She did the whole soundtrack for that.
Oh shit!
Which is awesome. Yeah, I mean,
damn, she was working. She
was working. Yeah,
she had her Nas Illmatic back in like 91. Because, bro, that Street Fighter soundtrack part 2
is legendary.
That shit is fucking heat after heat after heat.
Yeah. No, Street Fighter's
Yeah, let me confirm that. Yeah, Yoko Shimomura. She did the music from RPG. She did it for fucking Breath of Fire back in those days, and Legend of Mana, Parasite Eve.
Oh, Parasite Eve.
She does all the Kingdom Hearts music.
Yo, Parasite Eve needs to come back. That is that's the other PS1 RPG that I had loved back in the day.
Yeah,
the fact
that game is the shit.
Yeah,
Parasite Eve is great. I need like a game based in New York City. Like I automatically gravitate towards it. So if you make an RPG based in New York City, like I'm gonna play that.
And they captured it too. Like I love
the
Central Park area. Yep. Oh my god, that was the
building. Like what the fuck?
Yeah,
New York
games. I got the vibe right.
Yeah, they definitely did really good with that. I played part 2. It didn't feel as good.
Yeah, the third one's even worse.
Yeah, I hear that's the one that was PSP. Is that PSP, one? Yeah. It's not even called Parasite Eve. It's called, what's it called? Doesn't have a weird name?
It's called Third Birthday.
Yeah, there you go. And I saw it in Micro Center randomly, and I'm like, Third Birthday? What the hell is this? And then it's
that's shit about my local Key Food.
Are you serious?
Oh shit!
They had it.
Side of pork chops.
Yeah, the 99-cent sticker on it and shit.
Yo, you got a
holy shit.
Third Birthday, Carl Buddingham, and 2 cans of Crasdale chickpeas. Came out $74.89.
Oh,
so you save $2 with your Kifu card.
Holy shit!
That game was trash, but yeah, it's just really interesting tidbit that she did all that music.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say the name sounds familiar. That's why.
It's crazy because I forgot. I don't know the details, but I remember I was reading or watching something, and if you look, a lot of the greatest games like through the 90s and 2000s, and even up to this day, a lot of Japanese games, it was a lot of women did the music for a lot of these things, and it's like some of your favorite songs.
Names, but a lot of them are female artists.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I like to hear shit like that. But yeah, so one last question, because we've been going on an hour and a half now. So just do you think Final Fantasy could ever return to turn-based or active time battle of some sort and be successful?
There's always that possibility. I never count it out. I think, and the thing I always point to is Dragon Quest's popularity. Dragon Quest is the one series that has not departed from its formula. You know what I mean? It's always been from Dragon Quest 1, which came out in the early 80s. It's always been turn-based. Dragon Quest 11S is a turn-based game. It just looks great. Like, it has the latest graphics, and it's a very successful game. And same thing with Persona, which we talked about. That's a straight-up turn-based RPG. There's a market. There's a market there for turn-based RPGs. Now, Final Fantasy, I don't know. I feel like because they try to capture the market that's all about action, and they've been doing that for quite a while now. I feel like that's the route that they're going to keep going, at least for the next couple iterations. But you never know. If done right, with a good director, good team, a turn-based Final Fantasy would be amazing.
I mean, and what's kind of giving me hope is seeing that I think Yakuza, just that's randomly changing to a turn-based game. And being successful. I'm like hoping like maybe they see that and say like, wow, like this went from an action game for its first 9 games, now all of a sudden is doing a turn-based game. It's like
Yakuza's always been a brawler, action, silly, and I think it's because it's Japanese that it's able to work as a turn-based. Because in Japan, they eat all kinds of style of genres. Like they eat it up. So whether it's turn-based, action, strategy, whatever it is, they'll play it.
And I mean, and they're dabbling because now you have what's it called, Bravely Default 2 that just came out, and it's like I'm hoping they see the market is there, and a lot of old heads would love to see a Final Fantasy with a dope story and go kind of back to that. It's just about being creative, and it's like they can do it. It's like I don't it's, again, if you have the great graphics, a dope story, and then just make an interesting battle system that can that does the turn-based thing with bring back summons and stuff like that. I don't know, I think they could do it. Maybe they can try maybe a side game or a sequel title or something like that. I just really hope that maybe one day we can go back to basics with that, because while Final Fantasy 7 was great, I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy 7, by the way, the remake? Or did you play the remake?
That was my game of the year last year.
Yeah, I thought it was really good as well. And it's like I don't know. I like what they did. I mean, I can't front. Like the fact that like jumping between Cloud, having Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett, and all their fighting feels very different from each other was kind of cool. Like I feel like they finally got the formula down a bit in this time around. Like I don't know. I enjoyed playing with Tifa a lot. Like doing her combos and shit was dope. So I mean, they are fixing their formula, but I don't know. I think I would love to see them do go back to like a modern Final Fantasy with an active time system, of old.
I would love a new Final Fantasy with that Final Fantasy 7, like that Nomura like style of battle engine would be really great, because that Final Fantasy 7 remake battle was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Like
I'm thinking of the 7, but I'm trying to think that there's been a game that was turn-based, but it still keeps you active. It still keeps you moving. You're still constantly choosing things and moving, and so it's turn-based, but it doesn't feel like that.
There's a few games like that.
Yeah, there's a few that came out, especially in the 360 era. I think I think Grandia something. No, is it Grandia? It might.
Grandia.
Grandia.
I think I'm thinking Star Ocean. Star Ocean did that.
Star Ocean does that, but it leans a little more into the action, like the Tales of series, but it still gives you
like you can pause this game. Yeah, you can select something you want to do. Yeah.
I just know there are ways that they could do it where it could still be action, but you could still definitely, take your time, set things up, and then just see it in motion. You know what I mean? And that, I think, as long as you have that aspect where you still have a moment where you could admire it and see all the hard work they do with the graphics and all that, because for me, that's a big part of the Final Fantasy.
I mean, 15.
So if you can boom, 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 choose them, then see it, happen. Then
that's true. Yeah.
I think that's a good mix of back and forth, like constant.
Because didn't 15 try to do that where you could play it like in a kind of a turn-based dealy where it's slow time down?
In a way, they tried.
Yeah, like they could do it. I think they're just right now they're just trying to play it safe. 15, almost didn't even come out. So I think we need 16 needs to do well, and I think it is. I think 16 is gonna do fantastic.
It'll do it because. Especially because Yoshida's working on it, so you know it's going to be good.
You have that whole 14 base that's like frothing at the mouth for that. I can't wait for the next expansion as well. It's coming out later this year, so I'm ready for that. But yeah, like honestly, I can't front. They have these 8-man raids, and the fact that you could fight the train in 14 was probably one of the most amazing moments in that shit, where you could fight the fucking train. You could fight. There was I forgot what the other battle was, but then the final one was Kefka at the end, and I thought that shit was fire. When you see him come out, and I was just like, and you just fighting, I was like, yeah, like that. I think that was pretty amazing.
Are they like hard? Like obviously they're hard, right? Everyone needs to work together, whatever your class is. Like, was it an especially difficult?
That battle? One, they have the difficult versions of that. So you have your base one, which is like for the casual and where you do have to be geared up.
Like wild heroic stuff.
Yeah, and then you have what's called the Savage raid. Savage is where you need to work together, and that's like
proper gear.
Exactly, and you have to be you have to have the right spec out. You have to make sure you have the right team members. And then you have to communicate, and those are, but yeah, they make it, the game is very casual and hardcore friendly. So if you wanna just play it just for the story, you can absolutely do. And again, I can't say this enough. You can play for free up to level 60 through the first expansion.
I always play. I start Final Fantasy 14 and I stop after 10 minutes. I don't know why. I think it's, you know why, with MMOs,
busy work. God damn it, that's
it
why.
it is true.
Yeah,
There.
not just that, but with MMOs, I feel like if you're not there from the jump with MMOs, where everybody's in the same hub in town doing the same, quests and stuff, and you're by yourself in a giant city, like it doesn't feel right. Like I get a disconnect when I'm level 1 and then I see somebody in their fucking mount level 100 whatever. Like I want to do that right away and I can't.
Well,
So
I mean,
like
you could pay $25 and jump to level 60, but you don't want to do that.
I feel like the disconnect isn't that bad in 14. Like I've seen that in 11, where like I left for a while and I came back and I was like, oh no. I was like, this because I sold my character, and I was like, I'm not even gonna attempt to try this again. This is way beyond.
Yeah, 14. What's great about 14, especially now more than ever. What was that? Say that last part again.
No, just World of Warcraft is the same thing. Like I got on and I was just like, everybody's so far above me. Like this is not fun. But 14, I got there and I was like, whatever. Like,
Yeah, it's not that bad. If you ever get on, and I'm right now I'm on a hiatus because it's like, again, I can't, I've been playing that game for 7 years, so I play when some new stuff comes out, or I let it build up and then I'll just play through it. But if you get into what's called the free company, or which is like the guild in that, people love to help out. And if you just shout in the town like, hey, I need help, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, people love to help with that shit. They love to help out.
That's what I need, like to play with somebody alongside somebody doing quests.
Yo, hit me up when you ready. I'm ready. And my boy Mike, he loves that shit. No, I'm serious. Mike, I got
he's never gonna play.
Yeah, no, I know. I got ahead of him. When I'm ready, I guess I'm on hiatus right now. So when I'm not anymore, especially when Endwalker comes out, then for sure. But I remember I got ahead of him a little bit, and then he didn't play, and I was like, yo, it was like, when I was behind, he loved to like, yo, let me show you how to do XYZ. So with new players, if he's on and we all get to know each other, then it becomes fun. And not for nothing, what they do right in that game is that old content is still relevant even till now. Like now, there's certain things you can grind for that you need to do older content for, and then they have things called roulettes. So let's say you're queued up as a damage dealer, it's hard to get it for like a level 16 is like 15 or 16 is one of the first dungeons. You'll still find the party for that because there's new players all the time, number one. And number two, they throw for let's say for an experience, when you do a roulette, it throws you into a random dungeon, any dungeon. But if it's a low level dungeon, you get an experience boost at the end of it, so it's not a waste of time. So for stuff like that, you'll find the party because people are doing their daily, those are daily things. So you'll find a party for that. So it's not like, damn, I'm in the first city. They're packed lately. You go to a starting city, they are packed. It's not like 11. You go to the starting city, it's empty. It's a ghost town because you're constantly moving.
This shit must have been the server I was on. That shit was a ghost town. Man.
Oh yeah, nah, trust me. I'm like,
14.
Yeah, you probably, if you ever start again, you should just jump on mine. Mine is definitely one of the starting, like I said, been on that service since 2013, and it's constantly packed. People do performances. Now you can play instruments in the game for the hell of it, and there's whole bands playing music in the town squares, and they have parades and dancing and shit. You can get a prostitute in the game.
Experience Final Fantasy 14 is for those storylines, for all those storylines. Which I've been hearing for years that those are some of the best stories. Like one of my favorite games is Final Fantasy Tactics. And that's that world, like that Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy 12 were written by this one dude who also wrote scenarios for a couple of Final Fantasy 14 stuff. He did the Save the Queen shit and the Return to Ivalice parts in Final Fantasy 14, which I would love to experience.
They're very well done. Those are the 24-man raids. So all the raid content is side content. So that's away from the main story. So they like to dabble in those. Yeah, no, they're worth. That's what I was saying. Like the 8-man and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to see those old bosses or like summons or like.
And then the Nier raid just finished, and playing, if you've played Nier Automata, they just did the third 24-man for the Nier, and oh man, the music is there, the bosses are there. Like you fight the giant robot, in the first part of Nier, that's the first raid you do in that same area too. Like they put so much time into it. It's very worth it. Like I said, like. I'm saying by the summer because there's stuff that I need to finished right now, and I'm stuck on Monster Hunter. I'm addicted to Monster
Honestly,
Hunter.
I got a lot of stuff coming up in my life. I don't know if Final Fantasy 14 is in my radar.
When the babies sleep through the night, you'll have, you know, and they're still sleeping when they fully sleep into the night. And then and you're back on the sleep schedule, and then they're in that in between, they're in that 3 month to 6 month to 18 month period where they're still sleeping a lot during the day. You'll have I'm telling you, I had so much time for Final Fantasy. I was stuck at home.
I believe you. I believe you went through it.
Twice we were playing hard on 11 when my son was like 4 or 5 months to a year. Efra and I played a lot of 11 at the time. Then when my daughter was born 5 years later, we were already on 14, and I got so into 14 around that time because you can't do a whole lot if you're not going out doing. They either sleeping or they're just there, you know, being babies. So I honestly found more time to game. It's when they, you know, when they start talking and walking, then it goes back down again. Then it's like, okay, I can't just play video games. I need to speak with my children. So
you can do that through a headset, bro.
Right?
Yeah, word, yeah. That'd be good.
Normalize talking through a headset.
I could talk about RPGs for hours, man. I mean, I really could.
I was gonna have so many questions, but I'm just trying to shut up now. We gotta go.
What you guys should do, honestly, because I did this, look up a list of all the RPGs that didn't come out.
Oh my god,
that list is fucking nuts.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna.
It's gonna be sad.
Games that did come out.
That list is so crazy that they have to categorize it for every couple years. Like I think the list I looked at was 98 to 2000, and it must have been like 70 fucking games that I never came out.
With all the bad RPGs.
Nah, there was a lot of really good ones that they just never did. In fact, Secret of Mana 3 just came out, remade for the Switch. Not just came out, I think it was the last year or 2 years ago. It came out for the Switch. They redid it, Trials of Mana. But that game has always been great on Super Nintendo, but they just never released it in the United States or in North America or Europe, which is sad. There's also some games that came out in Europe that never came out in North America, like this game called Terranigma, which is really great Super Nintendo RPG. Never came out here, but I played it on emulation. Like that's another topic I could talk about for a long time. I emulated so many Super Nintendo games.
Yeah, it's not I mean, it sucks because you know, to this day, it's like some of the only ways you're gonna play some stuff.
And if the good way is to hack your Super Nintendo Mini, if you were able to get one of those, you could throw the whole Super Nintendo library in that motherfucker.
Oh yeah, I haven't even touched. I have one open because you know, and I have not modded it yet. I have a front end called Launchbox, and that's where I throw everything in. It organizes everything. It puts videos for you. So if you're just going through your library, you can see a little bit of video gameplay. So I have a whole emulation collection, and it's just. But yeah, it sucks that it's like, you know.
You can do it on a Raspberry Pi too if you want to go that route, or phones. You could throw emulation on any phone. Really, have iPhone, Android, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. No, I get it. But yeah, we are running a little long here. So, any last points you want to get in before we head out, or?
I just wanted to say thanks for having me on the show. Like I said before, I'm a big fan of the show. I always pitch it to my friends on, you know, online, offline. It's great, and yeah, thanks for having me.
For sure. No, thank you for being here. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for being here. This was awesome. I said this months ago, man. I was like, yo, we gotta, like, this must have been when I first joined the podcast. When I first joined the podcast, one of the first things I said was, yo, we gotta have Lurock on. Like,
yeah.
For an RPG episode. I said that shit exactly. I was like, yo, we gotta have him on for an RPG episode.
I really appreciate that, man. If you ever have like a fighting game episode, I'll join that one.
Yeah, no, you coming back for that too. We gotta have a strictly fighting game fucking cast.
We gotta have a part 2 maybe.
Yeah, we gotta have several. Like,
yeah, because we did one. I gotta listen to it to remember what we talked about, but yeah, we can do another one for sure. Yeah, I mean,
everything is cyclical.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we've been good. This is episode 22 here, so it's like, you know, there's gonna be a lot of things we can revisit and talk about, and I'm here for it. And you know, and I appreciate you listening. I appreciate the feedback, and anybody you know who listens to us weekly, and we do have a few who constantly hit me up and tell, you know, thank you guys. I really appreciate everybody who listens and supports the podcast. You know, we're trying to do, you know, we're trying to grow, we're trying to do big things out here, and hopefully we keep getting bigger. So I appreciate everyone.
Yeah, man.
And I think I think that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you everybody, and have a good night.
Deuces.
Later, guys.